Hallelujah. Peace and blessings to you all. Top of the morning, grand rising. Happy Sabbath, everyone. Shabbat Shalom. Talking about getting the Egypt out of us. You know, quitting is easy. Quitting a substance, quitting any addiction is easy. Anybody can quit. You can quit 100 times. It doesn't matter. Where the real challenge is leaving it behind you. Letting it go. Letting it lay in the past. You see it so many times too in the prison industry. Felons, they do long sentences, then they get freed up, they get out, and they don't know how to live anymore because they've been so captive to the oppression that they've been under. And so when they enter back into the real world, when they enter back into society, oftentimes it's very difficult for them to live a new life. Difficult for them to find work. Difficult for them to even function in society. So a lot of the times they revert back to their old ways. They revert back to what they know. And this just leads them in a dead-end cycle. Getting the Egypt out of us. Let's go to Judges chapter 6. Starting with 7. This is Judges chapter 6 verse 7. When the Israelites cried out to the Lord because of Midian, he sent them a prophet who said, "This is what Yahweh, the Elohim of Israel, says. I brought you up out of Egypt, out of the land of slavery. I rescued you from the hand of the Egyptians, and I delivered you from the hand of all your oppressors. I drove them out before you and gave you their land. I said to you, I am Yahweh your Elohim. Do not worship the gods of the Amorites in whose land you live. But you have not listened to me." Keep that in notice. We're going to come back to it. Let's go to the book of Exodus. Exodus 13. Bear with me here. Exodus chapter 13. Starting with starting with 17. When Pharaoh let the people go, God did not lead them on the road through the Philistine country, though that was shorter, for God said, if they face war, they might change their minds and return to Egypt. So God led the people around by the desert road toward the Red Sea. The Israelites went up out of Egypt ready for battle. Moses took the bones of Joseph with him because Joseph had made the Israelites swear an oath. He said, God will surely come to your aid, and then you must carry my bones up with you from this place. After leaving Sukkot, they camped at Etham on the edge of the desert. By day the Lord went ahead of them in a pillar of cloud to guide them on their way, and by night in a pillar of fire to give them light, so that they could travel by day or night. Neither the pillar of cloud by day nor the pillar of fire by night left its place in front of the people. There was something in 14 too I wanted to read. Exodus 14 and 13. Moshe answered the people, "Do not be afraid. Stand firm, and you will see the deliverance Yahweh will bring you today. The Egyptians you see today will never see again. Yahweh will fight for you. You need only to be still." Like I say, quitting is easy. Anybody can quit. It's what you do after. That's where the real challenge lies. Let's keep reading. Verse 15. We're in the book of Exodus chapter 14. Verse 15. Then Yahweh said to Moses, "Why are you crying out to me? Tell the Israelites to move on. Raise your staff and stretch out your hand over the sea to divide the water so that the Israelites can go through the sea on dry ground. I will harden the hearts of the Egyptians so that they will go in after them, and I will gain glory through Pharaoh and all his army, through his chariots and his horsemen. The Egyptians will know that I am Yahweh when I gain glory through Pharaoh, his chariots, and his horsemen." Then the angel of Elohim, who had been traveling in front of Israel's army, withdrew and went behind them. The pillar of cloud also moved in front and stood behind them, coming between the armies of Egypt and Israel. Throughout the night the cloud brought darkness to one side and light to the other side, so neither went near the other all night long. Then Moses stretched out his hand over the sea, and all that night Yahweh drove the sea back with a strong east wind and turned it into dry land. The waters were divided, and the Israelites went through the sea on dry ground, with a wall of water on their right and on their left. The Egyptians pursued them, and all Pharaoh's horses and chariots and horsemen followed them into the sea. During the last watch of the night, the Lord looked down from the pillar of fire and cloud at the Egyptian army and threw it into confusion. He jammed the wheels of their chariots so that they had difficulty driving, and the Egyptians said, "Let's get away from the Israelites. The Lord is fighting for them against Egypt." Verse 26. Then Yahweh said to Moses, "Stretch out your hand over the sea so that the waters may flow back over the Egyptians and their chariots and horsemen." Moses stretched out his hand over the sea, and at daybreak the sea went back to its place. The Egyptians were fleeing toward it, and Yahweh swept them into the sea. The water flowed back and covered the chariots and horsemen, the entire army of Pharaoh that had followed the Israelites into the sea. Not one of them survived, but the Israelites went through the sea on dry ground, with a wall of water on their right and on their left. That day the Lord saved Israel from the hands of the Egyptians, and Israel saw the Egyptians lying dead on the shore. And when the Israelites saw the mighty hand Yah displayed against the Egyptians, the people feared Yahweh and put their trust in him and Moses, his servant. Notice what happens after you get out of Egypt. After you get delivered from your bondage, whatever it may be, prison, addiction, any vice you're wrestling with, it's lucky. Notice how after they were free, it took a greater power to be able to live on after that. The Most High, He parted the seas so that they can cross through, and then He closed the waters on the Egyptians. Like I say many times, quitting is easy. Anybody can quit. Anybody can break free from captivity or be released from slavery. But the thing is, the real strength is what comes after that. Living a new life. Exodus 14 and 31. When the Israelites saw the mighty hand of the Lord displayed against the Egyptians, the people feared Yahweh and put their trust in him. and in Moses his servant. You may be fed up with something and be able to, any vice that you're wrestling with, once you break free from that, once you quit it, you got to have a greater power. You got to have something that you can trust in. Trust in the Most High to lead and guide you after you've escaped that bondage that you're in. Exodus 14:31. Let's read that again. And when the Israelites saw the mighty hand of Yahweh displayed against the Egyptians, the people feared Yahweh and put their trust in him and in Moses his servant. It's not by your own strength. It's not by your own power or your own might. By you quitting, by you getting set free, now you need to trust in Yahweh. Trust in the Most High. Let's go to Judges 6. Judges chapter 6, starting with 7. When the Israelites cried out to the Lord because of Midian, he sent them a prophet who said, "This is what Yahweh, the Elohim of Israel, says. I brought you up out of Egypt, out of the land of slavery. I rescued you from the hand of the Egyptians, and I delivered you from the hand of all your oppressors. I drove them out before you and gave you their land. I said to you, I am Yahweh your Elohim. Do not worship the gods of the Amorites, in whose land you live. But you have not listened to me." After you get set free, after you break that bondage, listen to the Father. Certain places that you visit, if they're triggers for you, follow your convictions. Follow what the Most High is trying to tell you. Here's an example. If there's a certain event that makes you want to drink or makes you want to chief, I know that event may be fun. It may be exciting, like a sporting event. A lot of people drink at sporting events. Just use that for an example. But if that sporting event, if you can't sit there those 2 hours or whatever the game is, and if it makes you want to drink, find something else to do with your day. Listen to the Lord. Listen if he's guiding you to do something else. You may have to compromise what you want to do. You may have to compromise and not attend that game, even though you got the tickets, you spent all the money, you drove there. Listen to Yahweh if he's telling you this is an area that's going to make you fall. Chapter 13 has something too. Exodus 13:17. When Pharaoh let the people go, God did not lead them on the road through the Philistine country, though that was shorter, for God said, if they face war, they might change their minds and return to Egypt. If any of you have heard about Stockholm Syndrome, this is a similar scenario. Stockholm Syndrome. A person gets taken captive by another person, and they spend so much time in bondage that they develop a genuine, I wouldn't say genuine, but they develop a relationship with their captor, so that by the time the rescue crew comes to save that person who's been captive, like a kidnapping or something, abduction, the person who got abducted, they generally don't want to leave. They generally have a change of heart to where, and it's not necessarily a change of heart, it's a mind play to where they don't want to leave their captor because their captor has spent so much time with them to where they developed a bond. Exodus 13:17, later in the verse says, for God said, if they face war, they might change their minds and return to Egypt. I know certain vices, they may be your escape. They may be something you revert back to when times are tough. When you're facing challenges, you may revert back to your old ways. This is why at the beginning of 17, when Pharaoh let the people go, God did not lead them on the road through the Philistine country, though it was shorter. He took them the long way around, because that longer route is what was necessary to keep them away from facing war. I pray this helps you all. After you've been set free, trust in the Lord. Listen to Him when He's guiding you. Listen to Him when He's telling you that these certain things are triggers. These certain things are going to make you fall. After you get up out of Egypt, trust in Him to lead you the rest of the way. Bless y'all.